Hi, and welcome back to the Positive Prepper. So, I'm debating about whether or not I should open a GoFundMe page and start my own asylum for all of the lunacy that's out there right now, folks. It when you think it just can't get any worse, it gets worse. And I was watching, there's a TikTok video, and it might be on YouTube if you want to look it up. But there's women that will pay, I don't know what the actual cost is to get in, but it sounds like it's like $1,000 or whatever. And they go into these camps, like camping trips, whatever, like Bible camp, blah, blah, blah. But it's camp for women. And they scream at the top of their lungs, and they bang the ground with the sticks, and they're just like acting like lunatics. And this is normal behavior, right? Now, coming from a mental health background, I understand that there are positive and negative ways to express your emotions, right? Obviously, you don't want to hurt yourself or somebody else. So I guess if you have to scream and hit the ground with a stick, that's better than anything. But this is a thing. This is a thing. And it makes no sense to me. And the non-binary, and call me an it or a ze, they, them. You know what? I don't care what you want to call yourself. That's on you. But your delusion is not my reality. And so I'm going to call you like I see you. If anybody said, "Hey dude," to me, I'd laugh. And I'd be like, "No, actually, I'm a woman." And some of these people, you really can't tell what they are. You really can't. And then they get over dramatic, and then they have to video the whole thing and put it on YouTube because I need that attention, right? Anyways, I'm sorry for the opening rant, but I'm seriously thinking about starting a GoFundMe and getting an asylum and putting all of these people into them and just getting this off the streets and dealing with what it actually is, which is a mental illness that is not being treated. The mental illness is being accepted by society as normal behavior. It's being normalized. And that's not doing anybody any good. So there it is. I just want to throw that out there because that's what I was watching today when I got home from work, and I was like, what? Okay, so what I actually want to talk about today is I'm not going to say that we are living in a police state. I want you to make your own judgment on that. So here are, I think I have 7. Nope, I have 6. Nope, I do have 7. 7 core attributes of a police state. Okay? And I'm going to give you like 1, maybe 2 examples of each of these core attributes that are actually going on right now. Many of them you probably already know about, and maybe you've already thought about this. So the first attribute is raids, harassment, and intimidation of dissidents by police. So, for example, the FBI raiding activist homes looking for anti-government or anarchist literature. But yet they won't go after BLM. They raided Mar-a-Lago because he isn't what they want him to be, right? So that's the first one. And I'm sure you can think of other examples, so please feel free to put those in the comments below. The second one, militarization of domestic law enforcement. Now, I am a back the blue person. 1000%. If I see an officer in trouble, I am going to jump in and help. And I have great respect for law enforcement. However, generally speaking, our police forces are purchasing military equipment. They're doing military training. They're essentially gaining a soldier's mentality under the guise of dealing with terrorism on U.S. soil. Well, that concerns me because the word terrorist has been defined in a much different way than it used to be. Okay? And the ones that they deem terrorists are far different now. And so it does bother me how the law enforcement is being militarized like that. Number 3, disproportionate prison sentences for political activists. So think about, all of these people back in 2020 that were burning cities to the ground. What was their prison sentences? 5 years? 10 years? Nope. Sorry, slap on the hand. 6 months to a year, right? If that. But then you have, the people on January 6th going into the people's house let in by law enforcement, and they're getting 20, 30, 50 years in prison. A case that you can look up on whatever you use, Marie Mason. She got a 20-year sentence for using arson to damage multiple buildings. It was they called it eco-terrorism. Okay? Now, granted, there was I think it was $4 billion worth of damage that her and her group did, right? But you have Samson Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T, who committed arson, injured 7 firefighters, one who was paralyzed after that, got 7, if I remember right. So it's this versus this, and if you do this, then you're going to get a longer sentence than if you do this. Although this didn't, they made sure that nobody was in the building. It was buildings, it was property. This was human life. This person got more than this one. And I'm pretty sure you can come up with some other examples of that one. Number 4, the creation of new laws for people because of political beliefs. And this is one I knew about, but I think it was one of those that was on the back burner for me to actually do any research on. It's called the AETA, the Animal Enterprise Terrorism Act. Basically, it was created to prosecute advocates who threaten the loss of profits for corporations. Okay? So you can have picketing, no protesting, no boycotting, anything that ends up in a profit loss for the corporations. This law was pushed through by wealthy businesses and biomedical groups, and then of course the ag industry. So what this means is you can't even do like we've seen in the past, like with Planned Parenthood, for example. I know you've probably seen several of those where they went in with the undercover cameras because they wanted to show what was actually happening inside. Well, you can't do that anymore. It's a terrorist act if you do that, and so obviously that's going to be a longer prison sentence. Look up the state that you live in and look for, it's called the Ag-Gag Bill, A-G-G-A-G Bill, Ag-Gag, okay? So what they're doing is criminalizing these nonviolent undercover investigators. So again, if you go into a hog farm, and this includes like you can't fly a drone over them, you can't go in and take pictures or video or audio or anything to talk about the way that animals are being raised or abused or whatever it is. Butcher shops, you can't do that in there. Anything that has to do with agriculture, because if you do, that is now considered a terrorist act. So these major, but again, it's not due to any harm to anyone or any animal or anything like that. It's about the money. It's about the profits. That's what these, this Animal Enterprise Terrorism Act and then what they call the Ag-Gag Bill. It only has to do with the biomedical and major agriculture corporations. They don't want to lose their money. Doesn't matter if they're doing things legally and humanely. Doesn't matter. It's all about their bottom line. Number 5, creation of special prison units. So there are 2 experimental prison units in the United States right now for domestic terrorists, and it's called communications management units. And so there, if you look this up, if you actually type that in, communications management units, look it up. It is for political prisoners described as having inspirational significance. And there's one in, I'm probably not going to say this right, but Terre Haute, Indiana, and one in Marion, Illinois. They were created in 2006 and 2008. So the people in this, right? Okay, so these are, you can have no physical contact when you're in there. So if they allow a visitor in, you can't hug them hello, you can't hug them goodbye. There's absolutely zero physical contact and less outside communication than a maximum prison facility. Okay, so these guys, whoever is in these communications management units are very, they're put on a very, very, very strict lockdown, okay? The people that are in these, now mind you, there are a few people in there, mainly Muslims, who maybe, tried to coordinate with somebody over in the Middle East to, with a terrorist plot or whatever, I don't know. But a lot of the people that are in here, some of the people, they organized for the rights of other prisoners. They participated in lawful social justice movements and even may have organized a worship session, like if they were already in jail. And then without being told, they get moved to this communications management unit. And it's like, they haven't killed anybody. They haven't conscripted with anybody. They haven't done anything to put anyone at risk. They're doing active things for people. They're activists. But they are being put in these facilities as well. So these are special prison units, and again, they are treated way worse than the people even at, think of the worst possible murder, rapist, whatever that you can think of, and they're being treated even worse than that because they are activists for social justice, and other things that I view as being on the right side. Number 6, pervasive use of surveillance. Oh, geez. Yeah, we don't know any of that exists, right? Spy drones monitoring your social movements, all the cameras, stay 6 feet apart so that we can actually see your face and figure out who you actually are and where you are and where you're going, right? And then number 7, criminalization of ideology. So if you are on a certain side, you are considered a domestic terrorist. If you are a parent speaking out against a very liberal school board, you are a domestic terrorist. Look at what's going on with the criminal charges in court right now that's being televised, right? Which, by the way, we have no idea how that one's going to go yet. They got about 3 more hours of prosecution ending speech thing. But the criminalization of ideology. So, and again, this is kind of why I really want to open an asylum. Because if I misgender somebody, I could be facing jail time. If I say anything that doesn't fit the narrative, I could be looking at jail time. But if you attack cops in the street, especially if you're an illegal, you get just to get let go. If you're these college campus people that are supporting a terrorist organization, they get let go. And so the ideology, even if it's just an ideology, you are treated worse than criminals. So it's not just about the fact that these 7 things are actually happening in the United States, but pay attention to the degree and intensity, right? So we may have started here at this bar, but now the criminalization of any of these has gone way up. And you tend to get the harsher punishments than you would have, say, 5 years ago. So pay attention to the way that these police state attributes are happening. And so what can we as preppers do about it? Well, again, this is kind of, we have to find that balance, I think, between being gray man and actively speaking out against this. And I'm going to talk about that in another video, but we have to find that fine line. You know, you have a better chance of staying out of the system if you just stay gray man, whether it's on social media or in your home life, you know, what devices you have, that type of thing. If you can leave your cell phone home so they can't track where you're going, those types of things. But then we also are getting to the point where we can't sit down and be quiet anymore. We have to be able to stand up to this insanity. So I don't know what you guys think. Put that in the comments below on, like, what does that fine line look like? But we are definitely, if we're not already in a police state, we are definitely headed there, and headed there quickly. So think about what you as a prepper or you and your group need to do. You know, which side of that thin line do you want to be on? And are you okay with the consequences of the decision that you make on what side of the line you want to be on? It's going to be really important. I think that's going to be even more important depending on how these things go here in the next few days. So please hit that notification bell, hit the subscribe button. Please hit that thumbs up on all of my videos. Share it if you think it's important for other people. And stay safe, stay aware, and God bless.